Hey, money minions! Welcome to today's episode of Why America's Finances Look Like a College Kid's Credit Card Statement. I'm Kevin, your financial fairy godmother, minus the fairy godmother and probably the wish granting too. So basically none of that. But let's be honest though, even a fairy godmother can't make $34 trillion in debt just disappear. But I can explain why we're here, what's happening, and what might be lurking around the corner. So let's go ahead and just get into it. Up first, the core problem. America has a spending problem. Think of it like that friend who just had to have a new iPhone every single year while still paying off their 2017 model. The US needs to sell its debt, but shocker, people are starting to think, hey, maybe lending money to someone who spends like a rapper in a jewelry store isn't the best idea. Right now, our deficit is sitting pretty at 7.2% of GDP, or gross domestic product, which is around $1.83 trillion as of the end of 2024. Now, if that money doesn't make your wallet cry, congratulations, you're probably just in the 1%. But for the rest of us, that's a bit concerning. Experts recommend that we get that down to 3% to avoid what might be called a financial crisis. You know, just a casual $1 trillion haircut. No biggie. But if I'm being honest, I feel like we've been there for a while already. So maybe it's just me, but who knows? Now, I did cover how the government funds itself in a previous video on potential tax changes. It's entitled Trump's 2026 Tax Proposal for Now. But let's first review the sources of US government funding just to ensure that everyone's on the same page. So, where does Uncle Sam get his money? 3 places. Number 1, taxes. You know, the thing we all love. Income taxes, capital gains taxes, tariffs, etc. Number 2, deficit spending, also known as we'll just put it on the tab. And finally, number 3, debt financing. This is where we convince others to loan us cash by selling treasury bonds to American citizens, foreign governments, hi China and Japan, yeah, and the Federal Reserve, which, let's just be frank, it's really just us loaning ourselves money. Totally sustainable though, right? No. Which leads us to the problem that is quickly becoming more exacerbated by Trump's tariff threats, declining demand for US debt. Here's the problem. The world is kind of over it. Yeah. Foreign countries used to love buying US debt like it was the latest pop album drop. Now, not so much. China and Japan are dialing back their investments, and other countries aren't exactly lining up to take their place. This means more supply and much less demand. Like trying to sell Beanie Babies from the early 2000s in 2025. Yeah, crickets. By the way, if you're still here and you haven't liked this video, I assume you enjoy financial despair. Just saying. But if you want to make better financial choices, or at least pretend that you do, right? Go ahead and hit that like button. It's free. Right down there. Right down there. Yeah. Unlike America's money printer, that is. Now, back to our regularly scheduled nightmare programming, the potential consequences of waning demand for and waning tolerance for America's overspending habits. So, what happens when nobody wants our debt anymore? Options include debt restructuring. That's a fancy way of saying bankruptcy, but with more paperwork. Number 2, pressuring allies to buy our debt. Hey Canada, be a pal, buy some bonds. And number 3, straight up defaulting, aka the US ghosting its creditors like a bad Tinder date. Notice how none of those options sound very favorable? Yeah, that's where we are if something doesn't change. And if that happens, well, the dollar loses its risk-free investment status. Inflation just gets worse. Yeah, worse than even now. And the dollar's position as the world's reserve currency starts looking like a crackhead selling financial advice on the internet. Basically, if you thought your grocery bill was bad now, wait until we start printing money like Monopoly cash. Now, to put things in a perspective from a historical context, we used to have money backed by actual gold. Then in 1971, we said, nah, let's just print it at will. Turns out that's kind of how every major empire has eventually collapsed. But hey, I'm sure this time it's different, right? Right? Yeah, so there's no immediate answers to questions like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get out of this mess? How's it going to affect my life, my kids' lives, the future of America as we know it? Does this mean that other nations can essentially turn their backs on us and just leave us dead in the water? It's a pretty concerning place to be in, absolutely. And we don't know how this will turn out, but it is important to know where we are and what the implications of how we ended up here mean for the outlook of America's future. So, I wish I actually had more answers than I do gloomy updates and rhetorical questions, but if you want to know how to ensure that you're shoring up your household's fiscal resilience for unexpected financial turbulence, I'll highly encourage you to watch a video I posted a few weeks back entitled Navigating Seismic Market Shifts. I made that video to ensure that people who are both uncertain and concerned about their ability to remain fiscally stable in the face of our nation's current flux have a plan of action to weather any oncoming storms. We don't know how long, how soon, or how severe any macro or microeconomic consequences could last. So do yourself a favor and follow the plan I've laid out in that video to ensure that you have a fighting chance to come out relatively unscathed should things go sideways. Well, that's it. I wish I had more encouraging news to share, but if you appreciated the information on this video, make sure you follow me for more and give me a like. Appreciate that. And if you didn't, well, ignoring the problem won't make it go away, kind of like America's debt. I've been Kevin with MoneyTreeAndMe, providing better security and ensuring better lives. Make it a great day.